Well, what do we have here? Indianajones and the Great Circle, eh? Oh yeah? What's so great about it, huh? And what's up with that title anyway? The Great Circle? Is that the best it could come up with? Sounds about as enticing as the Dial of Destiny. More like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Jerk. But joking aside, it's just a strange and pretty generic sounding title that doesn't really draw me in all that much. I mean, what happened to Raiders of the Lost Ark or The Last Crusade or, yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Now those are titles that inspire intrigue. But anyway, while all you basic bitches are playing your cool new indie FPS, might as well be Call of Duty with a whip, I'm gonna be playing the real indie game. Or one of them at least, cause of course there's like 5 gazillion of them. The Emperor's Tomb. Now there's a title. I remember loving this game back in the day, but how does it hold up now? Well, let's grab our whips, put on our leather jackets, and find out. But before we do that, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and well actually, time's running out. So if you enjoy my content and have yet to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it if you would do so. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. So Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb was developed by, the Collective, nope, never heard of them, and published by, poor old LucasArts, gone but not forgotten, in 2003. It was on PS2, Xbox, Windows and Mac. Now I actually played the Windows version back in the day, so that's what I was originally gonna go with for the video. Bought it on Steam and everything, but I couldn't get the fucker to work properly. So yeah, we're going with the PS2 version instead. And don't worry, I managed to get it refunded. Thanks Gabe, you the man. So after a quick intro to show us the kind of action and adventure what's in store for us, we'll start a new game and enter our name and yeah, we're off to a great start I see. And this is just a really minor nitpick, but we're all about those on this channel. But when both loading the game and starting a new one, once you've chosen your option or entered your name and whatnot, rather than jumping straight into the game, it instead brings you back to the main menu where you can start a new game or load again, and you start by selecting the now available start option. And again, this is really minor, but it's just like, why do we need this extra step? Why can't we just get into the game? I mean, come on, I want to play. I mean, I guess it could be helpful if you hit the wrong thing by accident, but you'd think, what with having to enter your name or choose a save file, you'd soon realise your mistake. So yeah, it just seems a bit unnecessary to me. But anyway, after we've done that, we can then get into the game, where we find our titular hero doing what he does best, exploring some ancient ruins in Ceylon or something. Yeah, it just sounds like some made up country to me. Oh, it's actually the old name for, Sri Lanka, yeah, I knew that. So we're just going around these ruins, where the game introduces us to the movement and platforming mechanics, and being such an accomplished adventurer like Dr. Jones here, you'd expect us to have quite a few abilities, and you'd be correct. You can run, jump, climb, roll, walk and shimmy along ledges, climb and swing on ropes and chains and what have you. You can use your whip to swing from fixtures and stuff to make it across wider gaps, and you can also swim. So yeah, we do have a decent range of abilities, which helps keep the gameplay interesting and from becoming super repetitive too quickly, as well as various traps and hazards to overcome as well, including water infested with sharks and crocodiles that'll use poor old Indy like a chew toy if you get too close to them. But you can distract them by throwing old skulls and bones into the water, cause everyone knows crocodiles and sharks like chomping down on some random dried up old bones. Yeah. But of course, if you've seen the movies, you'll know that there's more to Indy's adventures than exploring old ruins and navigating the hazards within. He's also got other treasure hunters and grave robbers to deal with. And deal with how? Well, we all know the answer to that. So yeah, as you make your way through the ruins, it's not long before you come across some sinister looking sorts who are also after the treasure, so now we've got that to deal with. And that brings us onto the combat, for which you've got a couple options. You can use your fists, there's various guns, and you can also use melee weapons like machetes and of course your trusty whip. Oh, come off it, you know you're enjoying this. Come on, take it bitch, take it! And yeah, it's pretty good. You've got a few abilities without things getting too complicated. There's a couple attacks that you can combine together to do a few different combos. You can grab enemies and slap the shit out of them and throw them into each other to knock them down like Skittles, and they can do the same to you. And what with you going through such a dangerous place, naturally you're gonna end up getting hurt, so how do you heal yourself? Well, the game actually gives us a pretty novel way of doing it. First, you can find health kits what'll heal you completely, but you've also got your canteen where you can drink water from to replenish your health. Yeah, broken bones, crocodile bites, gunshot wounds, that's all fine, bit of water will fix you right up. Now there's a twist. Turns out the Holy Grail, it wasn't some dusty old cup in some old temple somewhere. Nah, turns out it was Indy's canteen all along. Who'd have thought? So yeah, if you're running low on health, just take a few swigs from your canteen to replenish it. But of course, doing so uses up your water, and if you've got none left, then you can't heal yourself. So how do you get more? Well, you'll also come across various fountains where you'll be able to fill your canteen. Cause yeah, I'll just drink from some random fountain in the middle of these old abandoned ruins. What could possibly go wrong? And where's that water coming from anyway? So yeah, you just make your way through these ruins, navigating traps and beating the shit out of bad guys until you reach the final chamber what has the artifact you came for, the idol of fucker wooker or whatever, I don't know, but it's hidden inside this bit at the centre what you have to open, and this isn't too bad. You've just got to do a bit of platforming and pull a few levers, and there you go. You've just got to be careful cause even though the controls and movement are decent, well, at least as decent as you can expect for the time, they still can be a bit clunky and clumsy, meaning you've got to take your time when jumping from one place to the next. Especially when jumping between these platforms and cages and shit, cause if you mess up, you can miss and end up in the water where you'll find yourself face to face with Mega Croc, who's feeling a bit peckish. Understandable considering he's likely been stuck swimming around this empty chamber for God knows how long. No, Croc, I'm sorry I criticised the games. Please, no, the controls are excellent, no! So yeah, if you fall in the water, he'll chow down on you, but you can beat him by luring him into this bit and then locking him in. Yeah, what you gonna do now, her bitch? Not so tough with this gate in the way, are you? You're just a pussy. What you gonna do, huh, pussy boy? Anyway, you get the idol or whatever and go to escape, but then we'll run into our friends from earlier, led by this friendly looking fellow who it turns out is working with a certain group of not very nice people that YouTube doesn't like you talking about these days. But fuck it. He's a member of Mr. Hitler's Club for Little Shitlers, and following Machine Games' example with the Great Circle, I'd just like to make it perfectly clear that I do not support or condone said club or their beliefs and rhetoric. I just feel that I need to make that 100% clear, as if playing a game where you go around beating up and slaughtering the fuckers doesn't do that already, or making multiple games where you do just that. But how's Indy gonna get out of this one? Well, just beat the shit out of them. Yeah, fair enough. Here Zeller ends up in the drink where Croc has managed to escape and ho-ho, lunchtime! Sauerkraut. Indy gets out with the idol, and of course, rather than returning to the government to whom it rightfully belongs, it's straight back to the US. Finders keepers, I suppose, although it's not like I can talk. Where we're then paid a visit by totally not the villain, Marshal Kai T Chang and his pretty young assistant, Mei Ying. Jesus Christ, this guy's just as bad as fucking Bond. But anyway, Mr. Chang's here to ask us to find the so-called Heart of the Dragon, an artifact of incredible power which is apparently hidden within the tomb of China's first emperor. Trouble is, we don't know where the entrance is, but that's no bother cause then Mei Ying smashes the surprisingly fragile idol, cheap shit, which as it turns out contains 1/3 of the Mirror of Dreams, a magical device that'll help us find the entrance, and then we just have to find the other 2 pieces. So yeah, it's the typical story that sees us going from place to place, finding things to help us find the main thing we're after. And with that, we're now on our way to Prague, cause apparently that's where the next piece of the mirror is. Fuck knows what it's doing there, but then again, what was the other bit doing in Sri Lanka? So yeah, whatever. So we're in Prague now, it just sounds like another made up place name to me, to find the next piece of the Mirror of Dreams or whatever. But of course, we're not the only ones after the thing, since it seems our nationalist socialist friends know it's here as well. Now how would they know that? So yeah, you just go all Sisu on these fuckos, and it was at this point where I realised that the enemies, well, they aren't the sharpest tools in the box. I mean, they are Nazis after all. Yeah, it seems they haven't mastered the concept of climbing yet. I'm up here, mate. Take your time, I'm in no hurry. Fuck's sake, man. Anyway, you make it inside the castle or whatever it is, where you just take out some more guys and navigate some more traps. Some of which get pretty insane, like, Jesus, who owns this place? Fucking John Kramer? And this was also where the game first started to get a bit frustrating. So you've got this bit where you've got to pull levers to get the chains to come down so you can swing on them to progress further into this death trap. And that's fine. But it seems Indy hasn't mastered the concept of climbing either, even though we've already seen him do it how many times by this point? Like, what the fuck, man? Get up there! What's wrong with you, man? Get the fuck up there, you daft fuck! What's wrong with you? Oh wait, there we go. I guess those other spots just weren't right, were they? What the fuck? And after that, you just make your way through the castle, taking out more fascist pigs. And it was here where I was reminded of one of the reasons why I enjoyed this game so much back in the day. And that's how fun the combat is, melee in particular. Yeah, you haven't just got your whip, you can also grab things like bottles and smash them over enemies' heads. You can get chairs, smash tables, and then use the legs to break fuckers all over, which is pretty reminiscent of the rough and tumble style Indy's known for. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I just wish they could have taken it a bit further. I mean, we're in a medieval castle or whatever. We should be able to get shit like swords, axes, and maces and whatnot. And then there's a bit where you're in a huge ass library, and it would have been cool if we could go all John Wick and start beating the enemies to death with books and shit. Now admittedly, you can get some of the stuff I mentioned later on, but I still would have liked if they'd expanded the melee combat a bit more. But of course, as we've already seen, both in this game and the films, not only is our unassuming little archaeologist Indy pretty good with his fists and whip and what have you, he's also no slouch with guns, because apparently old Dr. Jones is just also a Navy SEAL in his spare time. Just like all archaeologists, to be honest. They teach this shit at university, you know. What do you think all the extortionate fees go towards? And the shooting's yeah, it's pretty good, if rather simple. There's not a whole lot to it. Indy's aim will lock automatically to the nearest enemy and then he just blasts them full of holes. Although the problem with that is, if you or the enemies are moving around, changing distances and shit, then Indy can suddenly just change his target regardless of whether or not you actually wanted to, which can leave you open to enemy fire. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. And you also can't target individual body parts like in Everything or Nothing, at least when you're just running around, although you can hold L1 to go into first person where you can aim freely and target body parts and explosive barrels and whatnot. It's just a shame that the first person is pretty unwieldy and doesn't feel very good to use, so I mostly didn't bother with it unless I absolutely had to. But like in Everything or Nothing, you can also take cover behind walls, although unlike in that game, it's not really a proper cover system. You're just hugging the wall, and if you happen to have a gun equipped, then you can step out and shoot at the bad guys. Although it's actually pretty clunky, so I didn't find myself using it all that much. Not that it really matters, since the enemies aren't particularly great shots, so as long as you keep moving, for the most part, they won't hit you. There's a decent range of guns. You've got revolvers and pistols, machine guns, shotguns, thrown weapons like knives and grenades, and even spear guns, which can be used underwater. So yeah, the combat's decent enough, although it does get pretty chaotic, nor is there a whole lot of strategy involved. The enemies mostly just run around like headless chickens and you pretty much just have to chase after them, so it doesn't really leave much room for strategy. It also has the same, I guess, problem as in Everything or Nothing, where you don't really carry all that much ammunition, and even though there's plenty ammo to find in the world, it doesn't take long to burn through it. So like in that game, most fights will see you quickly cycling through your weapons looking for anything with a few bullets left in it, which can be a bit irritating. And if you're shooting, you've got to be careful not to let the enemies get too close to you, because if they do, they can knock you on your arse, which can cause you to drop your weapon, and then the cheeky fuckers can grab it and use it on you, you motherfuckers. So we just continue on, and this place just gets weirder and weirder the further you go. I mean, we then come to this bit where you've got to solve this clock puzzle, and you've got these Grim Reaper statue things. There's another one what comes out with a fire what's got a fucking ram skull on it. Like, what is it, meant to be the fucking devil or something? The skeletons chained up everywhere. There's a bit where you've got to escape from a clock tower on some random flying machine. You find this random dead fucker just chilling in some electric chair contraption thingy. All of this without any explanation whatsoever. I mean, fuck the Emperor's Tomb. I want to know more about this fucking place. Who built it? Who owns it now? Who's this mad lad? Well, apart from that he's apparently called Vega, what, is he related to these guys? And he's an alchemist or some shit? We'll never know. And as if this place wasn't insane enough already, we then come to the final bit where we're just suddenly attacked by this fucking Frankenstein's monster thing. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this place? So yeah, now we've got to fight the fucking handyman from BioShock Infinite. And you thought the nuclear explosion in Crystal Skull was ridiculous. I'd completely forgotten about this bit. I had no idea. And this is pretty straightforward. You can't hurt the guy with your regular weapons and instead have to throw these vials of Soylent Green at him until he dies. And turns out he just happens to have the next part of the mirror inside him. I guess it was his source of power or something. But then, oh shit, Hans Lander's caught up with us again, having somehow survived his dinner date with Croc, although short and I now. Even though Croc's teeth were nowhere near his face, and if something with a mouth that big were to bite your eye out, I would expect it would most likely take the rest of your head with it, but I digress. But anyway, him and his boys capture Indy and the piece of the mirror and then take him to Istanbul just for some reason. Is this all part of some master plan? Or is Colonel Lander just a dumb fuck? Bingo! Yeah, it's the same as in the Bond games. I mean, you've got the guy literally in your hands. Just kill him, you fucking pillocks! But whatever, instead they just knock you out and then you wake up in Istanbul, because I guess that's where the final piece of the mirror is. He's got us chained up and says he's going to interrogate us later or whatever. Ooh, I can hardly wait. But then Mei Ying turns up and helps you escape. And then you just have to fight your way through these guys to make it down to some underground city what the Nazis are excavating. Where it's pretty much the same as everything what's come before. You just do a bit of platforming and fuck up some more bad guys. Yeah, even though you've got a decent range of abilities, it still doesn't take all that long for the game to start getting repetitive. Then you come to this bit where you've got to use a map to find these coin things what you need to get through this door. And this brings me to a pretty annoying thing about the inventory. See, it works like in a lot of games. You just use the directional buttons to cycle back and forth through all your weapons and items and shit, and that's fine. But the annoying thing is, you'll find stuff like these coins which have a very specific purpose. I mean, you don't use them for anything else, but they're still added to the regular inventory, meaning you've got more shit to cycle through and it takes longer to find the things you want. I mean, why do we have to bother equipping the coins when we finally do need to use them? Why not just have us press the action button to put them in? It just makes things easier. So then you continue on, and the next thing you'll likely notice is that these levels are actually pretty damn long. A lot longer than I've shown so far. They just go on and on. And while it is cool that they go on for a while, some levels do feel a bit too long, to the point where a couple times I was thinking, Jesus, how much longer is this gonna go on for? Some of the individual sections can be pretty big as well, like the bit where you're getting the coins, which is a bit annoying when you consider there's no real checkpoints. So if you get killed somehow, then you go back to the beginning of the section and have to do it all again. So that's something you've got to watch out for. But eventually we come to the final chamber where the piece of the mirror's hidden, and since last time we took on Crocosaurus, I'm guessing there's gonna be some other giant aquatic creature guarding it. What's it gonna be this time? The fucking Meg or something? Well, you're not far off, because it's actually the Kraken. The Kraken! And you thought the nuclear explosion in Crystal Skull was ridiculous. So yeah, before we can get the bit of the mirror, we've first got to deal with old Squidward here. But unlike with Croc, who was just kind of there really, this is actually a full-on boss fight. But how are we supposed to take out this giant fucker? I doubt our shitty little spear gun's gonna be much good against that monstrosity. I mean, if Johnny Depp couldn't do it, what chance have we got? But luckily we get ourselves an edge with the super spear gun. Ooh, what's the difference? Yeah, it's just got auto fire and more ammo, but whatever, I'll take it. So this is a fairly easy fight. Squiddly Diddly here doesn't actually attack you directly and instead sends out these, I don't know what the fuck these things are, fucking jellyfish or some shit, which you've got to shoot with the spear gun before they get near, because if they do, they'll latch onto you and hold you under the water until you run out of air and drown. So you just keep blasting the little bastards and then hit the big fuck a couple times to make him piss off for a couple minutes, and then you get some explosives to blow up one of the pillars around him. Do that 3 more times and bada bing. Well done. You've likely just doomed a mythical species to extinction. Good show. And with that done, we get the last piece of the mirror. I'm not sure how Indy managed to keep the other 2 pieces after he got caught. I don't know, I guess he must have shoved them up his arse or something. Then Mei Ying shows up, conveniently after we've done all the work, and explains that Mr. Chang is actually working with the Nazis, while she's working undercover to stop him from finding the Heart of the Dragon. Oh really? This guy's a villain? Well, colour me shocked. And Indy, well, just goes along with all this, despite her not providing any real proof to back up any of her claims. Yeah, I guess he's got to get laid somehow. And then it's on to Hong Kong to meet some guy who's going to get us into Chang's fortress for reasons that aren't really explained. I don't know, I guess he must have the other pieces of the mirror, what with Indy getting captured, so now we've got to go and get them back. Like I say, it's not really explained all that well.
Have I mentioned how absolutely stunning you look in that dress?
Wow, real smooth, Indy. Regular 007 over here. So we're just waiting for this guy to show up, but oh shit, turns out Chang and his bitches are onto us. Yeah, really didn't see that one coming. And I like how Mei Ying is getting attacked on stage and no one seems to give a shit. Or even notice for that matter. Like, what are the hosts from Westworld or something? You know, when they freeze them. But anyway, we've just got to beat up Chang's guys and find Mei Ying. Not a whole lot to say, although this is where you get your hands on swords and shit. And you also find potions that make you stronger and give you extra health and whatnot. So that's cool, I suppose. Then we get outside, but oh dear, too late, the bad guys have gotten away with Wei Ying. But we're not beaten yet, because then the guy we were supposed to meet, Wu Han, finally decides to show up. Better late than never, I guess. And if that name sounds familiar, then you must be way more up to speed with your indie lore than me, because I didn't recognise him at first. But yeah, if you're an Indiana Jones fan, you'll probably know this guy, since he actually turns up in the Temple of Doom. Yeah, remember that guy right at the start who gets shot and then he's like,
I followed you on many adventures.
But this was our first time seeing him, so we're all just like, what the fuck's this guy talking about? Well, this is what he's talking about, apparently. I don't know about you, but I'm glad to finally have that cleared up. Almost 20 years later. But anyway, he shows up with his rickshaw so we can chase after Mei Ying. And I want you all to stop for a second and prepare yourselves for the wildest ride of your lives. I'm being 100% serious. What you are about to witness might just be the fastest, most chaotic chase scene you will ever see. The French Connection, Bullet, Mad Max Fury Road, James Bond, they don't hold a candle to this. I'm actually a little hesitant to show it. I fear you may not be able to handle it, but I'll take the risk. Just hold on to your armrests. So, yeah, move over, Fast and Furious. You ain't got shit on this. Shit. Yeah, just fuck me. So yeah, this is fairly simple. The game goes into a first-person on rails bit as you move briskly along in this little rickshaw, going a whole 5 miles an hour, and you've just got to shoot all the bad guys following slowly along behind you before they shoot you. And yeah, that's about it. I'm not sure why they're chasing us in cars and on bikes and shit, since they could probably just walk after us. It reminds me of that bit in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob nicks off in the Wright brothers plane and they send jets after him, but they're too fast, then the pilots just get out and walk after him. There's not even any real challenge involved. The reticle automatically locks to the nearest enemy, so you've mostly just got to keep the fire button held down and you'll be fine. You don't even have to destroy the cars. As soon as you take out all the guys shooting at you, they just give up. You don't even have to shoot the drivers. What the fuck, man? But yeah, all joking aside, this has got to be one of the worst chase / on rails bits in gaming. Firstly, just because of how stupid it is. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing the whole way through. Why couldn't they let us have a car? That way I could have at least taken it somewhat seriously. But on top of that, like the regular first person, the aiming's really heavy and clunky and doesn't feel good to control. And then on top of that, it's also just really boring. It goes on for way longer than it should, and nothing changes. It's just more cars and bikes that just happen to know where to wait for you. No other hazards or challenges or anything. Yeah, I guess they wanted to do something different to break up the repetition, but they just completely dropped the ball with it. And after that pulse-pounding, thoroughly riveting bit of gameplay, we finally make it to the docks where once again, oh no, we're too late, with Wei Ying having been packed off on a submarine to Mr. Chang's fortress. Oh dear, if only we had something faster than a fucking pedal car!
Hop in.
I think I'll walk.
So then Wuhan sails us up to the island where Chang's fortress is. Oh yeah, how'd long that take? A fucking month? What was he peddling the boat himself or something? Where in order to get in, we have to use a gondola system. What's inside a Nazi submarine base? So now we've got to infiltrate this submarine base, and again there's not a whole lot to say, although it does get a bit annoying inside the base, because if the bastards see you, then they'll set off the alarm, and then you get these Wolfenstein looking motherfuckers coming after you with flamethrowers, and you can't even use the fucking flamethrowers yourself. Why not? Obviously there's no technical reason. The enemies can use them, they're animated and everything, so why not us? I mean, we can shoot, stab and blow fuckers up, but not burn them alive? What, that's just too far? Well, they're like, oh, that's too cruel for Indy. Well, actually yeah, now that I think about it, I'd probably agree. I don't remember him ever doing that in the films. But it's not too cruel for me. Come on, I want to roast some Nazi ass. But anyway, it's pretty much the same from here on out, so we might as well take a look at the presentation side now. The graphics are decent enough, kinda standard for the time. The locations and environments are pretty well detailed and designed, although some of the textures can be a bit rough, and I think they could have done a bit more with the lighting to make the gameplay more atmospheric. The character models are decent enough too, although the likenesses of recognisable characters, all two of them, well, they're fine enough, although they do leave a bit to be desired also. I just think they could have been a little more detailed. The voice acting, well, it ain't great. Again, it's just kind of standard for the time. It does the job, but it's nowhere near the quality what you would expect today. It's no Red Dead 2 or The Last of Us, is what I'm saying. But at least they got a guy to play Indy who actually sounds somewhat like Harrison Ford. Again, unlike in fucking Nightfire where they just got some random guy who sounded nothing like Pierce Brosnan whatsoever. So yeah, that's a win in my books. But on top of the voice acting just being kind of meh, it's also pretty annoying since as you continue, it's not long before you start hearing the same lines of dialogue over and over and over and over again. I mean, first of all, each of the basic enemies only have like 2 lines for when they detect you, which they repeat so often that I instantly recognized some of them from when I first played this game all those years ago. I mean, could you not be asked to record just a few more lines? Or was disk space that tight back then? But at least you only hear the enemy voices sometimes, since combat is only one part of the game. But fear not, cause we've still got Indy himself to fill the void. Again with the same few lines, just repeated incessantly. Seriously, the guy's a broken record. Like for instance, whenever you try to open a locked door, which happens surprisingly frequently, without fail, Indy'll always say,
That's not gonna work.
and I mean for every single door. He says it literally every time. Why? Do we really have to hear that same line for every locked door? As if the fact that the door's not opening isn't enough to tell us that it's not going to open? Do we really need Indy to confirm it for us? And then when you pick up some of the more powerful weapons, like machine guns, he'll say,
This ought to even up the odds.
and again, he'll do it pretty much every time, even when it doesn't make sense. Like if you get knocked over by an enemy and you drop the weapon, but then you pick it back up, he'll say the same fucking line again, as if he just instantly forgot he was just holding the fucking thing. Like what, have you got short-term memory loss or something? So yeah, it would have been better, and a lot less annoying if they either made Indy not talk as much or gave him a few more different things to say. The soundtrack's pretty good. It sounds exactly like what you would expect from an Indianajones game. In fact, if you told me the music was from one of the actual films, I'd probably believe you. It does a good job of complementing the gameplay and atmosphere and makes you feel like you're playing through an actual Indiana Jones adventure. Whether it's the slow and eerie tracks when you're creeping around ancient ruins, or the upbeat and kinda whimsical bits when you're beating the shit out of bad guys. However, despite that, I do have one small complaint. Not with the music itself, but with the way it's used in the game. See, you'll just be going along and the music will be all quiet and atmospheric. And then you'll run into some bad guys and the combat music starts and it's all like... Then you win, the bad guys are defeated and you continue on, but the combat music's still going. And yeah, I'm not expecting it to stop straight away, cause maybe the game needs like a couple moments to realise that the fight's over. But it goes on for quite a while afterwards, and it just kind of ruins the atmosphere and takes me out of the experience. And I just want to tell the soundtrack, yeah, it's okay, action's over, you can calm down now. So yeah, that's just an annoying little nitpick. And after you make it through the base and get the gondola running, you just have to ride the thing up to Chang's fortress. But our jackbooted friends aren't going to make it easy for us, since now they're sending the whole fucking Luftwaffe after us, it seems. So yeah, it's just another on rails bit. You've just got to jump on the mounted gun and shoot down all the planes before they shoot you. Man, where's Indy's dad when you need him? Could really have used his umbrella of death right about now. Alright, we've made it up to Chang's fortress, and this was where things really started to get irritating. See, you've got to get inside the castle or whatever, but you've got Chang's soldiers all over the place, and these guys are annoying as fuck. Firstly, there's a few bits where it's set up like maybe you can be stealthy and sneak around them, but it never worked for me. No matter how slowly and quietly I moved, they always spotted me. And when they do, you've got to be careful not to let them get too close, which isn't easy considering you don't have many ranged weapons at this stage. Because if they do get close, they do these really long fucking kung fu combos, both with fists and spears and shit. And if they get you, then they just bray you all over, and they can drop your health pretty quick. Especially when you've got the fuckers ganging up on you. Then you get inside and find Mei Ying, but then we're confronted by, ooh, what have we here? Maybe I'm on the wrong side. Do your worst, ladies. I can take it. Ladies, please! When I said I liked it rough, I didn't mean this rough. Ow! Please have mercy. So yeah, now we've just got to bray the shit out of these two broads. And this is simple enough. Just grab a sword off one of the racks and chop the bitches up. Yeah, slice them and dice them. Just, obviously, because there's two of them, you've got to try and get one on their own and fuck her up, and then move on to the other. Because if you try and take them on at once, they'll just have their way with you. And not in a good way. Oh. And once that's dealt with, we can finally free Mei Ying. But psych, your princess is in another castle. Well, not really, but look, I couldn't think of a better reference, okay? And then we end up in the catacombs beneath the castle, and this is where things get truly insane, cause...
Ah! Zombies! There! Pretty as a picture!
So yeah, now we're fighting the living dead, and you thought the nuclear explosion in Crystal Skull was off, fuck it. And I like how, just like with O'Connell in The Mummy, Indy has no reaction to any of this whatsoever. Well, after fighting Frankenstein's monster and the Kraken, I guess it's just another day at the office at this point. But how do you take these guys out? Do you have to destroy their brains or whatever? Nah, you've just got to beat the shit out of them, just like pretty much every other enemy in the game. And from there, again, it's pretty much the same as before. You just go around fucking up zombies, solving puzzles and overcoming traps and shit, until you get your hands on the Pa Cheng or Dragon's Claw, aka the coolest frisbee or boomerang in the world. Basically, it's the BFG 9000 of the game. Kind of. It kills the zombies really easily, and you also use it to destroy the evil spirits that possess them to keep them from coming back permanently. And after all that, we'll make it to the, I don't know, the main chamber or whatever, where we rescue Mei Ying from some kind of fucked up ritual Chang was doing with the Mirror of Dreams. But oh shit, how are we gonna get out of this one? But double oh shit, now Mei Ying's turned into some evil, sexy, demonic angel thing. To be honest, I actually kinda prefer her this way. What can I say? I like my women bad. But unfortunately, it seems Indy doesn't agree, so now I've got to fight her. And like I've been saying throughout pretty much the whole video, this bit's simple enough. Man, I've really got to think of some new things to say. You've got her flying around over there, and you've just got to avoid her attacks, while fighting more of these annoying, skeletal Peeves the Poltergeist motherfuckers, and then you just have to throw your boomerang of death at her powerball things to destroy them, and once you've wrecked all of her balls, there you go. She turns back to the boring old vanilla light side, you make it out with the Mirror of Dreams, and then it's onto the Emperor's tomb to stop Chang once and for all. Alright, we've reached our final destination, where first things first, we've just got to overcome a few weird traps and then fight our way through some of Chang's guys who then come back as zombies. But we're not alone, because now we've got Mei Ying fighting alongside us, although she's not much help since 1, she's about as smart as the enemies, so not very, and 2, she gets so carried away with all of her high-flying martial arts moves that if you get too close to her, she can end up hitting you as well. Oh, and killing herself too. So yeah. Real helpful. And after that, on we go.
Let us hurry. There is nothing to fear here.
So yeah, next up we have these invisible traps, which you can only see when you've got the mirror equipped. But apart from that, they're not hard. And then it's back to fighting zombies and solving a few more puzzles. And then you come to this bit. Oh yeah, I remember this. Where Herr Otto Flick comes after you in his crazy Gestapo drill tank thing. And yeah, this is a little different. You've got this mad bastard chasing you and you've just got to keep moving and jumping and swinging across the gaps to keep him from catching you. And yeah, it's not hard. Just as long as your timing and reflexes are good, you'll be fine. I mean, hell, even I got through it in one go, so that should tell you something. You jump over this bit and then, oi scheiße! And yeah, that's the end for old Major Todt. Then you run through this portal which takes us into the Netherworld, also known as Gateshead. Yeah, this is where things really go off the rails, if they haven't already. And yeah, again, there's not a whole lot to say. Yeah, I'm really struggling to come up with shit now. You just have to take out some more evil spirits who possess these terracotta warrior things, and then you've got a few more puzzles and traps to overcome. So yeah, pretty much your average day in Gateshead. And after all that, we finally find the body of the first emperor, I guess. He's looking pretty good, all things considered. And the heart of the dragon, which is just stuffed in the guy's mouth for some reason. Ugh, dunno if I want to touch that thing. Who knows where else it's been? And is it just me, or is anyone else reminded of Bugs Bunny here?
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is. But oh shit, turns out the guy's still alive apparently. And he seems kinda pissed to me. Can't imagine why. How dare you compare me to that loathsome rabbit! So yeah, looks like we're gonna have to fight this guy now. But then he just drops down dead again. Kind of anticlimactic, but okay. But we do have to fight Chang, who's gotten hold of the heart, and now he's become fucking Doctor Strange or some shit. And say it with me, guys. Yeah, this is simple enough. You can't hurt the guy with your conventional weapons and instead have to run, jump and swing over to these element things around the edges of the arena. You run into them, which then teleports you back to the center, now with the boomerang equipped and imbued with said element, and then you just have to throw it at the fucker to damage him, and then you just move on to the next one. The only thing you've really got to watch out for is the platforming bit, since if the guy hits you while you're trying to jump across, you can get knocked off and die. Oh, and actually make sure you've got the whip out before you try to swing across these bits. Yeah, that helps as well. And once you've done that, the evil spirits, or whatever they're meant to be, start to carry Chang off like at the end of Ghost, and then Mushu comes and chows down on him. And yeah, that's the end for old Marshal Chang. We next find Indy and Mei Ying back at the club in Hong Kong with Wu Han, whom they then abandon so she can show us her, gratitude for all our help. It would have been better if she was in her sexy demon form. I don't care if I probably wouldn't survive. It'd be worth it. And they even include a teaser for Temple of Doom.
But Indy, we were supposed to meet with Lao Shay to talk to him about that Nurhachi job.
Oh, don't worry, Wu Han, there'll be time enough for that. I promise nothing bad'll happen to you. And yeah, that's that. So that was Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb on PS2. And in conclusion, yeah, I think it holds up pretty well. It is a little rough around the edges looking back on it now, which really is to be expected with these older games, but it's still a lot of fun. The gameplay is a decent mix of platforming, combat and puzzle solving, although it does get a bit repetitive later into the game and is never particularly challenging, but it's still enjoyable enough. It controls reasonably well for the time, the combat's fun and chaotic, the levels are well designed, for the most part. Jesus, that fucking car chase. And overall, it's a good time. The graphics and voice acting are admittedly not all that impressive, and the story's pretty standard, but the soundtrack's really good, and overall they did a good job of capturing the tone and atmosphere of the films, so it really does feel like you're playing through an authentic Indiana Jones adventure. So yeah, if you never played it back in the day, this is one old relic that I'd recommend digging up. Eh? Eh? Well, I thought that was a good line. Fuck me, I needed that. After Batman and Robin. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but fuck, it might as well be fucking Red Dead 2 compared to that piece of shit. So yeah, I'll take it. Oh, and as an aside, I was just fucking around at the start when I was talking shit about the Great Circle. In truth, despite the kind of mediocre title, it looks decent enough. I might give it a go at some point. I mean, I like the Wolfenstein games, but it won't be straight away, because I don't have a Series X, and my PC sure as shit won't be able to run it, fucking old piece of shit. So yeah, keep an eye out for that review, about 20 years from now. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like. If you didn't, then tell me to go fuck myself. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and again, time's running out. So if you enjoy my content and have yet to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it if you would do so. And as always, thank you very much to everyone who already has. And if you wish to support the channel further, then consider donating to my Patreon. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.